Well, hi there. Let's talk trash. Hello everyone, my name is Cherie, and I'm here to discuss municipal solid waste management in the United States. Now, when you think of waste, you think of the garbage that you put out on the street for pickup. Municipal solid waste is collected weekly by sanitation services. This practice began in 200 AD in Rome. Before that, people used to cover their trash with fresh clay and just build on top of it. Some of them also burned their trash in the household, which was okay because back then the waste was mostly organic, unlike today, but we'll get to that. Over half the world's population does not have access to regular trash collection. So we here in the United States are very fortunate. We are also one of the countries that produces the most trash. The EPA reported that the U.S. generated approximately 258 million tons of municipal solid waste in 2014. Those were the most recent figures. So 258 million tons. As a consumer-based society, it's what we do. We don't really think about it and the global impact that all this garbage has. And as the population increases, so does the trash. The three stages of municipal solid waste management are collection, transport, and treatment. Most people in the U.S. are charged a flat fee for trash pickup, or it's included in property tax. You have a bin for yard trimmings, a bin for recyclables, and a bin for garbage that goes to the landfill. Now the good news is there's been a reduction in the amount of waste going to landfills due to an increased amount of recycling. Recycling facilities that focus on profitable resources like paper and glass and metal have been a huge success. We went from no recycling 40 years ago to about 35% recycling today. So yay! But we still need to do better. A little over half of that 258 million tons of waste we generated went to landfills. Municipal solid waste is generally non-hazardous, but sometimes the waste thrown in landfills can leach dangerous chemicals. It can also produce methane, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide. Operators of large landfills are required to combust this landfill gas, but still a large amount of non-captured methane escapes into the atmosphere, which is not good for the environment. Another thing that's not good for the environment is electronic waste, or e-waste. Discarded obsolete electronic devices are the world's fastest growing waste stream, faster growing than medical waste or even industrial waste. It's projected that 50 million tons of e-waste will be discarded this year in 2018. E-waste includes TVs, computers, desktop, laptop, mobile, cell phones and landline phones, printers and copiers, VCR and DVD players, as well as other miscellaneous information technology equipment. E-waste's most hazardous substances are flame retardants and heavy metals, including plastics, lead, mercury, and arsenic. These toxic metals and pollutants can be released from e-waste through landfilling, recycling, or incinerating. People can then be exposed to these hazards through inhalation of dust particles, skin contact, or dietary intake. Circuit boards, LCDs, and rechargeable batteries all leach toxic metals when dumped into landfills. Lead is one of the biggest leaching hazards, especially lead from electronic devices. Lead can negatively affect the circulatory system, the nervous system, kidneys, and brain development. Since lead-based solder is used on all printed circuit boards, a safer silver-bearing lead-free solder was created. Manufacturers also experimented with electronically conducted adhesives, which would eliminate the need for solder altogether. In our efforts to decrease the amount of lead we use, we do have to be careful. For instance, cathode ray tube monitors can be replaced with liquid crystal displays, but in that case you're just exchanging lead for mercury. Electronics recycling began around 1994. Still, most Americans don't know how to recycle their e-waste. Municipal solid waste contains lots of household batteries and electronics. These need to be recycled. It was found that Americans replace their cell phones approximately once a year. Even though most providers accept used cell phones at their retail stores, only 8 to 10% of discarded phones make it to these drop-off points. Best Buy has become the nation's largest e-waste recycler. Goodwill of Silicon Valley is also a state-certified e-waste recycler. And some major manufacturers are offering free take-back services, including Apple, Dell, HP, and Sony. Half of all U.S. states ban sending e-waste to landfills. This brings up an ethical as well as an environmental issue. The U.S., along with some other first world countries, are exporting their e-waste to unregulated developing nations. Although the U.S. cannot legally export e-waste for disposal, if it's designated for recycling, it can be sent anywhere. This is extremely unethical because the recyclers and brokers work in an unregulated market without government certification programs. Each month, African and Asian cities receive hundreds of shipping containers with mixed electronics. Up to 75% of the e-waste inside these containers is unusable junk that ends up in landfills, swamps, fields, and riverbanks. The workers rarely use protective devices like goggles, gloves, or respirators. The recycling methods are primitive. Chisels, hammers, and cutting torches are some of the tools used. Methods of e-waste dismantling include heat melting, acid washing, and open-air burning. This releases toxic byproducts. A soil sample at an e-waste processing site in China found lead levels over 100 times the safety level. The water supply there has also been contaminated, and they are facing acute water shortages because of this contamination. In addition to China, countries such as India, Ghana, and Nigeria have all recorded excessive amounts of e-waste contamination. Negative effects include thyroid and lung issues, pregnancy complications, and neurological disorders. Scientists pose a long list of suggestions to minimize the negative effects of e-waste: accountability, education, intervention, prevention, protection, reduced exposure, regulation, and training. Residential curbside pickup would be nice too. So, each of us must actively participate in decreasing our municipal solid waste. This can be done through prevention, reduction, reuse, recycling, and safe disposal. San Francisco is doing a great job recycling and composting 77% of their waste. Their aim is to have zero waste by 2020. Zero waste means sending nothing to the landfills. Let's try to be a little more like San Francisco. The future of our planet depends on it.